Hi, I'm Anke Summerhill from Minotti, London, and today I'm at Jestico Whiles to talk to James Dilley. Hello James, thank you for having us here today. Well, you started here quite some time ago in 1994. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here and what are you doing here?
I was explaining to somebody recently that I don't quite know how I arrived here. I don't remember the actual arrival bit, but I remember it being dropped in at a very exciting time culturally. That was at a point where hotels were changing a lot, the way that people lived in them, people worked in them, and the practice was just finishing a very seminal hotel at the time. It was called the Hempel. It was being designed by Anushka Hempel, who wasn't a designer at that point. She'd come from a different background in fashion and so on, and it was an extraordinary hotel, extremely ambitious. On the back of that, there was such an unusual hotel in London. There was another very inspirational hotelier coming to London for the first time and had acquired a building. His name was Gordon Campbell Gray, and he looked around for people who knew about the new kind of hotels. There wasn't many at that time. And he asked us to come in and help him create that hotel from a listed building. And I, as a young architect, I was the project architect and the site architect, which we don't have in the same form anymore. So I spent 3 years working with an inspirational hotelier and hospitality innovator, really, and learned everything I could from him, listening to him every day, and working in an extraordinary listed building in the centre of a very important part of London, Covent Garden, and then we finished that hotel, and because of the impact and the change it made to hotels, particularly in London and UK, I started on a road specialising in hospitality.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, how is it that you got into the whole hospitality side? What is anything that drew you to that?
Purely by chance. I mean, I've always been interested in people and travel a bit more perhaps than architecture. Gordon, one of the first things he said, well, there's two things that stick in my mind. We went in there thinking that I knew how this was going to work, and he said, we can make this a home from home. And he looked horrified, and he said, this has got to be far better than someone's home. Don't set the bar so low. This is not a home from home. It's something really special and memorable. That was the first lesson. And then he talked to me about, well, not me. I mean, I was the young boy sitting in the corner, but he talked to us, and his vision was that a good hotel, good hospitality is made of two things: the environment and service. He said, so I'll provide the service, you're going to provide the environment, the design. The environment will help me to make the service work. But hospitality, the definition of it is that service plus environment equals experience. So he was talking about experience back then in 1997, and of course in the last 20 years it's all that people talk about, but he'd grasped that, or it was the essence of what he was doing decades ago. So he was a very important person in my development in this industry.
So can you tell me about your role as the team leader here? What do you enjoy about that? Do you really feel that each project is a team effort?
Absolutely.
Or are you very much guiding the team?
Absolutely. I'm the Greek philosophers said, know yourself, and I think over time you begin to know yourself and you accept the things that you can't do, and you accept the things that you can do and you're good at, and you can stream yourself into that position where you're doing the best that you can. When I talk to the team, I have good ideas, but I'm not necessarily the best designer. They're the people that take these things. We put our ideas together, and then they can grow it into something which is cogent and compelling and different. So it's no exaggeration. I rely entirely on my team. I'm nothing without them.
So you've been here a long time. What do you think has been the biggest changes over the years?
In hotels, most of my work's in hotels.
So how for example, how was luxury perceived 25 years ago compared to what it is now, for example? Because I think things are changing.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. We recently completed a resort hotel in Zanzibar.
I was going to bring that one up later because I love that one.
It's called Zuri. 20 years ago, that would not have been called luxury.
Why would it not have been called luxury 20 years ago?
Because of the facilities there are not, when I first started doing this, to qualify for a star rating, you had to tick these most ridiculous boxes. I remember one hotel where the authorities said, you need a seat or a stool in the bathroom. I said, well, there's no space for it. And they said, well, it's part of the 5-star recognition.
Yeah.
Other things that you don't always need. You don't need 24-hour room service. You don't need an extra guy to carry your bag. You don't need, all kinds of facilities. People don't need that anymore. They are chasing the experience.
Yes.
So
what's Zanzibar offering?
Well, at Zuri, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have somebody who came to book a spa treatment and the person taking the booking said, that's fine, come with me to the spice garden, choose your spices, pick your spices, here's your basket, bring them back, we'll help you mix them into the rubs and the treatments for you to then use for your spa treatments. This would not have been a luxury experience. You'd have expected pristine crystal bottles of each of these potions that you choose from. You wouldn't know the provenance. You wouldn't know where they came from. You wouldn't be with the head gardener in the spice garden. And people now value those experiences.
Yes.
They want to be involved. They want to understand where things come from. I think this is the nice richness. I mean, there's an element of theatre to it. But these are the things that people remember, and these are the things that people communicate when they get home.
Okay, so you have lots of exciting projects.
Lots.
You're also working on a project closer to home in Edinburgh.
Yes. Yeah,
the W Hotel, I believe. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about that?
We were the architects and the interior designers. We won an architectural competition some years ago for the building. It's part of a much wider development. There's so many interesting things about it. And firstly, Edinburgh is probably the most extraordinary European city of its time at the moment. Some of the statistics there, the Fringe Festival through August is now the second largest ticketed event in the world after the Olympics.
And it's grown enormously.
4.5 million people through the city, a city of, I think, the population 650,000. 4.5 million people through August. So the whole personality of the city is that it is a festival city. All the things that used to happen there are less important now than this incredible program of festivals stitched around the Fringe Festival. But I think there's 25 international festivals of literature and film and fashion.
Yeah.
And it's extraordinary because these 4.5 million people that come are everybody from young backpackers to very affluent people. People from Japan, the States, China, everywhere. They love Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So you get this incredible mix of people. And the hotel was a very simple but massively challenging brief. Was that we had to address all of those things. We had to address the next 50, 100 years of Edinburgh as the preeminent festival city in the world, and to capture that in the spirit of the hotel. So we did the architectural design. That was designed to work with a lifestyle brand. We knew more or less it was very likely to be a W, and once the hotel was designed and the owners spoke to the operators, it became a W.
Yeah.
And then the hotel grew. It's a new building in a bronze spiral, like a ribbon, a very extraordinary building.
Yeah.
There's a new build part of it which is made of stone, which we didn't design. And then over time it's now incorporated a listed terrace from 1750, which was a very important terrace. So there's.
Why was it important?
Well, it was designed by one of the main architects of the period in Edinburgh, James Craig, and it was actually his house and his studio. And this has very extraordinary proportions, 4.5 metre ceilings in some places.
Yeah.
But between the three buildings, they capture a piazza, a square, which can be used for all kinds of events.
Is there anything you haven't done?
Yes. There's a lot we haven't done, and there's more to come. There's interesting inquiries all the time.
Is there anything you'd really love to do that you always thought, oh gosh, that is something I really love to be part of, to design?
I just want to keep meeting interesting and aspirational people, and then they drive the project.
That will automatically lead to something new and exciting.
You take a brief, but you want to go beyond the brief.
Yes.
Give them more than they're expecting.
You like a challenge.
I like a challenge, but I also like getting to know these people. If you don't get on, it's very difficult.
There has to be a connection.
Yeah, there's three reasons that we take work here. It's basically you have to be able to learn something new or drive you into a new orbit, make a bit of money, and have some fun.
Yeah.
And actually, we say you only have to tick two of those boxes. So you don't actually have to make money. We don't want to lose money, but if you can get the other two, we'll do it.
Yes. It sounds to me like you're ticking all three boxes all the time.
I hope so.
Well, James, it's a pleasure talking to you. I love learning more about your projects, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.